Leos. Leos, Leos, Leos. Of course, this makes sense. All of it. Now, it's weird because I feel like there is some things that needed closer look at, only because this, there's a lot of development between you and this other person. Not in the sense like you need to grow up or they need to grow up a little bit more or whatever. And it could be the case for some of you guys, but I'm not getting that really. What I'm getting is that there's a lot to understand about you guys, about each and every one of you individually. And what I kind of like to see here that, regarding this reading is that somebody already took the initiative and being very passive and being very aware and open to the messages and the things that they're gathering from their environment as well as the universe and the other person that they're with. Now, the Knight of Pentacles does talk about looking closely at the details, taking time out to really figure things out, to really get some sort of true conclusion, if that makes sense, or to get some sort of, information. Usually the Pentacles energy is not about information, it's more of Swords energy, but the Knight of Pentacles is very thorough. He gets to every little detail because he takes his time. Now the challenge is going the space to really pay attention to the details, and it's hard to do, especially when you're feeling that excitement, you're feeling all this passion. But if you have a skeptic here, you will go slow, right? But at the same time, it's important to take your time to really get to know one another, get to see everybody from their true perspectives, because ultimately, right, this is going towards an Ace of Pentacles situation where you have a long-term commitment, really focusing on really putting in effort and time. Putting effort and time into building a long-term relationship. So we're going to start here with the mindset. Usually I read the side for you, Leos. For those of you that know how I do the soulmate investigation reads personally on my Instagram page. Sorry, I don't know if y'all can hear that motorcycle, but it's the most annoying thing. Okay. All right. So anyway, like I was saying, yeah. Leos, this would typically be your side by default if this was a soulmate investigation reading on my Instagram page, but feel free to pick the other side if this side here does not resonate with you, okay? But starting with this side here, we have the High Priestess, and this person here is is totally trusting their intuition. How they think of this relationship, kind of in the dark. There's a lot of secrets, there's a lot of information. I don't think this person knows everything, even though the High Priestess would, can indicate so. Like, there's two things: either this person is doesn't know everything, and they're just trusting their intuition, kind of going with their gut, or they are aware of everything that they need to know. Therefore, why they're so, they can be so amped up right now with this, which is why the star is in their present. But I kind of feel like the heart of the matter is coming up because there is there aren't aware of everything, so there's a piece of them that has to trust their intuition. I think they, how they see this relationship is that there's pieces of the puzzle that aren't really, that aren't seen, that aren't perceived yet, and you can't really get that information until you take time out to be passive, like the High Priestess indicates. Now, the other person here is focusing a lot on the Three of Cups and not the Ace of Cups. So the Four of Cups in here for this person's mindset is like, I think they're trying to assess whether or not this is something they've been through already. They're trying to figure out, this is kind of like the usual, I've been this, done that, the kind of thing. For some of you guys, this can indicate that this relationship is on hold. Like, this is like this, how they see the relationship is like it's on hold, it's not moving, it's not progressing. And it can make sense, right? Because how you guys met, or what brought you two together, is the Hangman energy. And that Hangman energy talks about stagnancy, no movement. But it's talking about surrendering to a different perspective, to see something from a different angle. And I think that's where this person's kind of trying to figure out how to move forward, how to kind of begin the process, or the progress of building something of longevity, something that will last you and this person quite some time, right? To be together, a committed relationship, building a foundation for a healthy and committed relationship. That's where you guys are trying to head at least this person here. And I feel like the person is looking at everything that they've gone through, everything that they've done, and they're focusing so hard on those things, that they're not surrendering to the perspective of being open to their surroundings. Because what they're ignoring, right, what they're not seeing is this Ace of Cups, this new beginning, this new love, but which requires them to be emotionally open, which requires them to trust their intuition. So this person, I feel like, is more prone to trust their intuition and kind of go with the flow, while this person is trying to figure out how to do things the way that they know how to do it, instead of just kind of going on how they feel, going on and what, like trying to figure out how to make progress when there's really no scientific way to do it. There's no, manual saying this, you gotta do this first and that first. This person has to just kind of let things flow, let their hearts guide them through, because this is a relationship. This is not, it's not, I mean, unless this is a business proposition, if this is a business, even if so, you still have to kind of trust your intuition. You have to trust your heart. There's no right or wrong way to kind of go out and approach this, this kind of working together, kind of like building a relationship kind of dynamic, regardless if it's professionalism or romanticism. That's not a word, but regardless of if it being romantic, professional, familial, whatever, right? Familial, I think, actually. I might be pronouncing that word wrong, but yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. So this person has to trust their intuition, and they're focusing on, okay, how do I do this? What do I need to do? I've done this already. I've done this already. I've communicated. I've talked about this. What else I need to do? You just have to just be you, be yourself. Do go on how you feel, because and paying attention to the other person, right? Because everything is about taking a closer look at stuff, right? Okay, so that being said, the understanding of everybody's mindsets kind of justify itself in the why they're reacting the way they're reacting, or acting the way that they are. Now, how this person is presenting themselves with the Four of Cups is the Seven of Pentacles. So that talks about them kind of looking at the situation as if there's a lot that they've overcome, and trying to figure out what else this needs to be done here, because they're trying to figure out what else do they need to do to kickstart this process, because they're at a period of time where they have to they're waiting. Then there's nothing going on. And they can't figure out what else to do in the meantime. So they're in this process of like trying to figure out what to do, how to move forward, what else is left for them to to kind of keep this momentum going. Because at this point they know they've come a long way, and I don't think that they're interested in ditching that at all. Like just kind of be like, okay, forget it, dusting their hands clean and walking off. I think they have put in a lot of work. They want progress. They want to be where they want to be, honestly, right? That's why they work so hard to get to this point. But at the same time, I think they're showing frustration because they're not necessarily trusting their instincts. They're not trusting their intuition. And most importantly, they're looking at the work that they've done so far and wondering why they're still not at where they are, versus, kind of being open to other things, if that makes sense. Being open to doing work, doing something else while waiting for things to kind of flow into where they need to be, if that makes sense. So the Seven of Pentacles person here, like, it's frustrated, but I feel like they're not looking in the right direction to help them figure out what else they need to do. They're looking at where they are and why they're not progressing yet. Now, the other person has a star here, and I think that's awesome. This is aspirations. This is new aspirations, a new beginning. This is new hope as well. This person is also healing, I feel like, as well. And the High Priestess and the star energy together, I like that combination together. Pretty powerful. It does talk about a healing, and perhaps even a spiritual and like elevation, if that makes sense. And I hate to be all technical and sound like only you can do that if you meditate or focus on your chakras. All you gotta do is live your life and be aware of the lessons that you're meant to learn, and you get this way automatically. So this person is probably really trusting their intuition right now, because they see this new hope, this new opportunity here, and it was given to them because of of the changes that they've gone through, of the radical changes that they've experienced, of of everything that they've been through. I think this person is really giving of themselves and really putting in the work that's necessary too. Like the star does talk about you giving of yourself towards whatever you're trying to, to create, or whatever you're trying to manifest into your life. whatever aspiration you have, you must give of yourself. And I feel like this person is definitely putting in the work and the time, and they are recognizing the situation as a new opportunity, and they have faith. They're emanating faith. Now, at this, I don't feel like this person sees the situation as like, as doubtful, as if they don't believe that they're going to be happy, if their dreams are just a pipe dream kind of deal, like their star is way too out of reach. I feel like they're like, they know that they're, where they're going, they know their destination, and they understand the work that's needed to put into it. So they're not pushing too much. They're just doing what they know they can do, they need to do at this time, and not really, trying to force it. And the reason why this person is like this is because of the Seven of Swords. Excuse me, the Six of Swords here. Six of Swords talks about transitioning, moving on, moving forward. It's interesting for this card to be about changes too, but it is. You're leaving something behind and you're moving something forward. It's the process of the progress of what you're doing that, from the change that initiated in the first place. So this person is changing, it's transforming, it's transitioning to from and leaving a lot of the old stuff behind and embracing a new. And this process, it is pretty inspiring because this person is not, they're going through what they're going through with this change. Of course, whatever they're going through emotionally may be taxing, of course. And Six of Swords is not necessarily the easiest energy. It's very similar to death, but it can be very sad. You're leaving behind an old way. You're leaving behind an old life, an old part of you, and you're taking on new opportunities to embrace new perspectives, to embrace new things. So, yeah, as well as you're taking the lessons from those things that you've already experienced with you. So this person is changing. This person is going through a change, and they're opening their life up. They're opening themselves up to new opportunities, new perspectives, new things. Which is why this person is kind of approaching this whole relationship as if they're blind, but truly trusting their gut with it. They're not necessarily, there's no right or wrong way to go about it. They're just doing the best that they can with what they know and moving, taking advantage of this opportunity. Now, the reason why this person obviously has got the Seven of Pentacles here, showing that they're kind of frustrated and they're not, they're wondering what needs to be done to kind of kickstart the rest of this, because they're not at a place where they're satisfied with, and they're kind of still, they feel kind of like stuck in emotionally, because they're not sure of what they need to do and on how to kind of progress this relationship. And it's because they do know that there's a connection here. They do feel this connection. And I feel like for a lot of them, their mind, the mental part, right? Because this is about choosing between your head and your heart, right? A lot of readers will say the Lovers is choosing between your head and your heart. And really what the Lovers is for me, is and I think another, reader, Aquarian Insight, has this, perspective too. It's because she taught me the tarot and everything, but the Lovers comes from the recognition of what your heart is actually saying and your mind truly accepting it. It's more about, to me, the Lovers is about acceptance. From what I've learned, is that this is acceptance more than making a just decision. Like, of course, there's a choice to accept your love, accept how you feel, but ultimately you can't choose who you love and who you don't love. That's not what love is. Love is an emotion that doesn't have a face, it doesn't have a texture, doesn't have a certain style or a certain way of being. It's not specific, it's a feeling. So therefore your mind will try to talk you into, your mind may be having a hard time accepting that kind of emotion. Maybe maybe you don't, you come up with ways and reasons as to why it's not working or why it shouldn't work or whatever, but that's your mind trying to find reasons to not, to reverse the feeling that's inevitably already felt. You can't unfeel it. So with the Lovers here, I feel like this person's being too logical with this. I think this person as well may be looking at the situation like, okay, we're just friends, or, maybe they're trying not to progress this relationship, or maybe they're trying to figure out whether or not this is something that they want to actually put their heart and soul into and put 100% into, and pretty much go with their intuition and trust their relationships. Because think about it, they see this relationship as everything, if they see this connection with you, and they feel great love, They feel it, but they are, they're looking at it as if, okay, this can end up like a lot of the old relationships or the other relationships I've been in. They're going to be on the fence. They're not going to be truly 100% in. They're going to be like, I don't know if I want to deal with this. Now they have come a long way, but they may have come a long way to kind of get themselves in a stable place, and they don't know if they really want to invest all that time and energy into really getting to know get to know you, giving you a piece of them, like spiritually and emotionally, that's a lot for them to give. But I think the thing is, it's like they're trying to convince themselves. I think there's a weird thing, like they're trying to convince themselves either to just go with it. I think they're aware of the connection. I think they're aware of how they feel about you, or they're very much aware of how they feel about how this relationship feels for them, or like what does that mean for them. And it's just hard for them to accept it. Now, at the same time, I think that this person really is aware of the connection. Not maybe that, it could be the other way, but it could be also that this person is very much aware of the connection, and they're having a hard time progressing in it because they're not letting themselves just be. They're not letting themselves just, do the best that they can with what they've got, instead of trying to, force things to happen. Or not necessarily force, but trying to figure out what else needs to be done. Trying to think about, okay, well, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and just kind of just go with what their heart is telling them to do, which is just trusting their intuition. It's hard. But I feel like it's weird, right? Everything is about looking past the glitz and glamour and getting to the nitty gritty of a situation, looking beyond, beyond the surface. And I think this person has to look beyond the surface level right now in regards to pursuing this relationship with you, or pursuing this relationship altogether. And not truly like rely on certain standards and rely on certain looks or certain things, because how their heart feels is really what's going to dictate where they're going to go. And they also have to, I think the biggest thing is for the, heart of the matter situation and Knight of Pentacles, is that, they have to figure out why they feel like they can't move forward, why they can't, go, why they can't move on in this relationship. It's not because this person is incapable of doing it. This person is pretty open in my eyes. This person is open too. It's just, why do they feel like they can't move forward? That's the parts that I feel like need to be looked at a little closely. Why this person is, seeing this relationship as a bit more quiet, less abrupt, looking beyond the surface of your understanding, not the other person's, or not the, the other side. Because I don't think anybody's at fault here. Nothing's wrong with this relationship. Everybody has to surrender to a certain perspective, a certain way of seeing life, a way of seeing this relationship. Perhaps one needs to just accept that they love this person and keep moving, keep going, and just work through it and figure out why they're hesitant or why they don't think they can go all the way in. There's a lot of aspects to this. And I feel like looking taking a closer look at something, taking it slow, committing to the relationship, I think is also one of the things, because I think one person is willing to transition and make the changes necessary, and the other person is not quite on board with it, because again, they're not quite sure if this, they're not quite sure why they're hesitant on it, if they know how they feel. Wow. So mending talks about letting things go, making amends, closing a chapter in your life, you know, recognizing when, think what has been done, what can't be changed, but understanding that you have the power to create the future that you want to create, despite what you've been through, what has happened, what faded things have happened in your life. This is talking about forgiveness as well, making space for that new beginning. And I think that's the thing. This person definitely looks like they're healing. This really looks like they're trying to move on. They're trying to make a new life for themselves. And this person here, they haven't, I think that's the thing that I was trying to get at with this person. It's like they're looking at all these other, at this relationship and comparing it to the other ones. And that's probably why they haven't completely 100% committed and accepted their love, what they feel. Because honestly, what they have to look at closely is that they're still hung up on a lot of these old relationships. They're still hung up on a lot of these old situations. And in order for them to truly be able to capitalize on this opportunity, they have to forgive and, and create, make peace with what happened in the past. whatever devastation, whatever happened in the past, it's no longer this situation. It won't, it doesn't have to be the repeat of all these things. It starts the way you start creating something new and not a repeat of something from the past is by truly accepting what has happened, accepting the lesson from it, and forgiving the situation for you, for yourself, for whatever, for the, for, of course, for yourself always. You're never forgiving this, situation, a bad situation for the other person, but you're forgiving it for yourself to be free so you can have a new opportunity, you have a new experience. If you're always comparing to an old relationship, you're never going to be free to have a new experience because you're always looking for that familiar pattern, that pattern that doesn't have to repeat itself. But because there is this idea that there's a potential for it to come back, you're always holding out for it. You know what I mean? So mending is a big thing. And I think this person having to forgive too, having to let go and having to just trust that there's a new avenue, there's a new destination out there, there's new, happiness for them to reach. And they're putting in a lot of effort to get there. And I think this person here, they just have to trust that this love they feel with this person, with this connection, it doesn't have to be like all these other ones. And it starts by forgiving what these were and being, focusing on what you want to feel, focusing on what you want so you can have what you want,